Welcome to Zoom Into a Career, a series designed to introduce students to a culture of high achievement by interviewing industry professionals. I'm Andrew Kohler, the Community Relations Coordinator here at Yelm Community Schools. And today we have Kris Kvinsland. Did I say that right?
Yeah, close enough.
All right. And she is the manager of the TwinStar branch here in Yelm. And she's here to share a little bit about her career in finance. And before we get started, I'd like to remind you that this Zoom is recorded and will be available on our website for future viewing. Welcome, Kris, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, hi everybody out there.
And getting started, maybe start at the beginning and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, so as Drew said, my name's Kris Kvinsland, and I manage the local branch of TwinStar Credit Union here in Yelm. I've been with the credit union over 24 years, and I started my career in finance about 40 years ago. I know that's a long time, you guys are thinking. My first job was a teller, or as we call them here at TwinStar, a member service representative. And since then, I've held a lot of positions working in investments, personal banker, and eventually branch manager where I'm at today. And I've been in Yelm about 18 years. And I will just tell you, I love being part of this community, and especially the schools that we have out here. I can't say enough good things about it. Yeah.
And what does a branch manager of a credit union do? Because maybe when you walk into a local credit union or a bank, you see the person behind the counter, the teller, that position. What kind of goes on in your world?
So my duties, it entails a lot. Overall, I am responsible for everything that happens at my facility and my branch. I oversee all the day-to-day operations. I coach and train all my employees. So the member service reps that you see there, they go through a regular week training, and then they come back to the branch and we continue with their training. We do wires and fraud. We have government compliance we have to deal with, credit union compliance, cash handling, as you all know, is a big, huge thing here. And then the most important thing that we focus on is member service. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I do everything, you name it. If you have a problem with something or somebody or need, help, you dial me. You dial me 360-486-3709. If anybody wants to call me afterwards, or if you have any questions about the credit union or what we do here, I'd be happy to talk to you guys one-on-one.
And I hope people take advantage of that, because that's one of the benefits of being in a small community like Yelm. Mm-hmm. You can really take advantage of opportunities that it presents, and talking to a branch manager and one-on-one, and people like you, Kris, want to help out. Being a part of the Education Foundation and a lot of things that you're a part of, I can't recommend getting in touch with you enough. And
thank you.
Going back is, how do you get into finance or banking, or how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I actually started, I grew up in Port Townsend, which is a very small community as well. And I went to college for a couple of years, and then I started working at the local community bank, which is not the building's there, but it's a different name now. It was Jefferson National Bank. I had a friend that worked there, and I needed a job. And back then it was a Monday through Friday job, and I thought, wow, that would be fun, just something new. And so I started it, and I took a small break and worked for the tourism division for the state for about a year, and then I got back into banking. And I have been there ever since. So a long time.
When you were going to college, were you taking finance classes and math related or anything like that?
No, the interesting thing is, Drew, is my worst subject is math. I was not a math person. I took more secretarial and management classes back then. Some of you may not even know what this is. I was taking shorthand. You could go Google it when we're done. Shorthand, right? And that was and typing was a manual typewriter. We did have manual, and then we got the electric typewriters. So it was a completely different world back then. I never thought I would be in banking, and now I can't think of not being in banking.
And what are some important skills that you need to start that career?
So depending upon where you want to go, we have so many different areas you can go on, which I'll talk about later in the credit union. But just to start out, if you have a college, if you don't want to go to college, or you aren't going to have college education, and you just want to start out in working, as long as you have a high school diploma or a GED, you can be considered for one of our teller or member service positions. We call them MSRs. And then with the contact center, they require a little bit more work experience, but you can start out with no college education if that's where you want to go. If you want to get further and work in our accounting department, obviously that would be an accounting degree, or IT department, you'd have to have a college degree. But there's a lot of stuff in between that that you can work at the credit union. The biggest thing is to be service focused and like to help people. Mm-hmm.
And kind of jumping ahead, what makes people more hireable, and what do you look for in candidates?
So when I interview for my tellers, my member service reps, my MSRs, I really look for your personality and your ability to be able to talk to me, to be able to talk to my partner that might be interviewing you, and how you can engage with people. You can't be shy, because we can't be shy here. We need to be able to talk to a huge diverse membership, all ages, from high schoolers, from younger kids to our senior citizens, and we need to be effective communicators. So I would say communication, that drive to want to help people and to want to provide good service.
Would you say that someone just graduating high school with their high school diploma, and they enter into a teller position at TwinStar, and you can kind of maybe figure out which direction you want to go, and what education you'll need based on getting that foot in the door, so to speak?
Yeah, and we've actually had people that have done that have started maybe as a teller, or maybe they started as a summer temp or a part-timer, and they've decided, I want to be in accounting, and they will, there's more opportunities and avenues now to get a college degree, right? You can go online, all sorts of stuff. So they can work here and work towards their college degree and say, I really like accounting. Or, you know what, I want to be an analyst, and we have a department that you could use those skills in. Or I'm so into computers, I want to be in IT, and I'm going to go and get my degree in information technology. That's
one of the few industries that you're able to kind of start and grow within.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
And can you elaborate or tell us about a major problem that you had to solve, or a project that you had to work on? I know COVID has kind of dominated world conversation. I don't know, I'm going to leave it up to you whether you want to go down that path, or another project that you worked on. But we'd love to hear about something that you had to solve.
Okay. Well, COVID's actually, obviously, everybody's probably tired of hearing about it. So I think I'll pick something else. Just a quick note on COVID. We've had to completely, we've closed lobbies, and we would do everything through the drive-through, from wires to opening accounts to applying for a loan, whatever it is. We have avenues, and we have people on the phones. We've done everything we can to accommodate people. I think we've done a really good job. So I think I would go with one of my duties is fraud, and through the years, I've done a lot of work on the fraud cases, and they're always interesting to solve. Now we have a complete fraud department that handles all of that, so I don't work with that as much, but it was something that I really, really enjoyed, and trying to figure out who, and before, electronics, and even before the debit cards, it was all checks, and you would wash checks. So you guys can go Google acid washing checks, or how to wash a check. It was a lot of check fraud, less identity fraud, but more check fraud. So that was kind of interesting to try to get, when people are in here cashing a check, get the police on the phone, because it's a bad check. And our members really appreciate that protection we provide. And the other thing I really enjoyed, I was on a focus group to improve our member service. We're always looking for ways to improve our service here, and we've set service standards. And this was quite a few years, many years ago at the credit union. But it was just one of those things that I really enjoyed, was able to help create service standards, not only for the member service reps, but for our back office people as well.
And kind of going off of that, it's always a changing landscape, right? Of once we were passing checks that was the main way to transfer money, and now we're looking at even apps like Venmo or the TwinStar app. Has that had any major impact in your role?
Yeah, so we've kind of gone, we still have a few people trying to cash a bad check. We still have those opportunists, if you want to call them. But so right now it's all about the electronics and anything they can get their hands on. That's why when, we require, code words, passwords, we tell people change your home banking password as often as you think you need to. The elderly are preyed upon with, their computer takeovers. So we've got a completely different set of scammers out there. The biggest thing is people are being sent checks, and it's for a personal, they're going to be a secret shopper. We have people all the time bringing us checks in. And so if you ever hear a complaint, they got really nosy and were asking me where I got this check, that is why. So we prevented so many people from losing a lot of money due to bad checks. So you'll get a check in the mail and, oh, would you like to be a secret shopper? You answer an employment ad. Anybody that pays you up front, or you're getting a check that you're not really sure about, it's probably a scam. So people, money is, when they get that check, they get really excited. And a gentleman came in and says, I just got a job at a secret shopper. And the check was actually from Walmart. And I sat there and I talked to him for a good 10 minutes and had him go out to his car and get the letter. And finally we figured out, yeah, this isn't really a job. This is, they want you to put the check in your bank and then go buy gift cards, read them the numbers. A lot of the gaming cards are out there, stuff like that. So we really, really try to protect our members. So the fraud has completely changed, Drew, like you said, from check fraud, because that's all they had before. And now there's there's every scam in the world that we have to try to protect everybody from.
Speaking of scams, have you ever seen the movie Catch Me If You Can?
Yes, I have, a long time ago, but I saw that movie. Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
Uh-huh.
It's absolutely terrible, but it mixes two things that I'm really enjoy learning about. One, flying and being a pilot, and then just the ability to kind of be on the run.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was all the fraud talk got me thinking of Catch Me If You Can. He's going. Can you tell me something that maybe most people wouldn't know about your job?
So I think, let's see, what question were we on for that one?
I think it's number 6. Sorry, I tend to hop around.
No, that's the challenge. Okay, yes, challenge. I wrote some notes here. So the biggest challenge, or something that you may not know, when I started 40 years ago, we talked about computers. We didn't have computers. So a couple things, it's made my life a lot easier. When I started as a teller, everything was done by hand. We'd update your balances and put them on a microfiche. So you guys can go Google microfiche as well. We'd have to put them on microfiche. When you gave us your check, we'd have to do a debit slip or a credit slip. We had big old machines with the handles you pull down. So the challenging thing for me has been keeping update with technology. And that's the biggest thing for me. So now I've gone from, learning something in the past. We didn't have computers at the time when I was a teller, to now not only having computers, but learning new systems, keeping up with technology and all of the changes, as you guys are well aware. Now we're doing this. So who would have ever thought I would be talking to high schoolers, right? On a Tuesday afternoon. And here we are. So I would say the biggest challenge is just keeping up with the changing times and learning what all of everybody on here, including you, Drew, you grew up with it. So you grew up with all of the stuff, and I, had to learn it as I go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of on the they had a name for it, slightly inappropriate, but it's when you're 90, when you're in the late 90s. I guess I was 94. You kind of grew up into it, but also I still remember a landline with the cord, and uh,
Yeah, yeah.
it was it all came pretty fast to us. But I can't even imagine being like pre
Yeah,
pre
the
90.
computer, everything. Yeah, it was a different world back then.
What do you recommend students do now that are thinking about going into the finance career field?
So what I would do, depending upon where you want to go, if you want to come and work in a branch or at our contact center, you want to brush up, you want to have your people skills. So, community speaking, whatever you can kind of take advantage of in high school. I don't know what if you guys have speech class or whatever, but opportunities are out there to engage in the community. And the more you can do that and engage in the business community, the chamber, whatever, I think that's going to help you out. The other skills, for IT or whatever, of course, are more educational skills. But like I said, we have a lot of our business, whether you're external or internal, is service skills. Yeah. So if you want to come and work in a branch and be a teller, or then, teller can promote to a new accounts officer and do loans. There's all kinds of opportunity there, but it is really all skill-based, people skills.
And when you're talking about engagement, are you thinking maybe the Lions Club or the Rotary or FFA? Are you
Yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah, all that stuff, Drew. I know you know a little bit more about it than I do. I've worked with some of those kids before, especially the FFA kids. But any type of club, social clubs, or whatever that you can do just to engage, if this is something you want to do, work in the service industry. And a lot of us, a lot of you will start out in the service industry because there's just so many jobs there. Whether it's working at Starbucks or working at Safeway or being a waitress or whatever you're going to do, it's all about service and engaging in people, and that is what's really important. So if you can kind of polish up those skills and your people skills and get out of your shell and not be shy to talk to people and overcome whether you're shy or their insecurity or you're afraid of people, whatever it is, just work on that while you're in school.
Yeah, and the things that you mentioned were fantastic. Of being involved in maybe some volunteer organizations, but also getting a job in service. And I'm one of those firm believers of you might want to work in. I think everyone should work in service at some point because it
Yeah.
gives a new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But going off of that, and you mentioned shyness and maybe people can get over that if they push themselves. What, if any, what advice do you have or would you have given yourself as a young graduate?
That is number 8. I have them all numbered here. I took some notes. So again, that was a long time ago. And again, we didn't have the internet or anything. So I didn't have a lot of tools. Coming from a small school, I came from an A school. You guys have so much more opportunity than somebody had graduating when I did. You have the internet, you have a community that's behind you all the way at your high school and the other schools as well. So I would say educate yourself as much as you can. You have the internet, the World Wide Web right at your fingertips. Read. Seek out educational opportunities, seek out volunteer opportunities. We haven't talked about that a lot, just, here and there, but volunteering for your community, I think, can be one of the most rewarding things for you to do. Number one, you get to do something and make a difference, but it's also going to help you with those service skills. Yeah. So I would say educate yourself as much as you can and read, whether it's online or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations of books to read or places to start researching?
I read a lot of books on coaching and communication and stuff. I would just, get on Amazon, or if you have a Kindle or whatever, just kind of seek out some stuff on communication and managing people or dealing with people. There is actually a lot of stuff out there. I don't have anyone off the top of my head that I would recommend, but there are a ton of books out there for you guys to take advantage of online. Yeah. And most of them, they could be free or really, really cheap, right, from Amazon. So yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a ton of resources if you look out there, and
Yeah.
coaching is a really good one, because you learn a ton about management and all sorts of good things about leadership from coaching books. One of the best books that I've read recently was the Pete Carroll book after they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it was something about winning. But there's tons of resources out there, like you had mentioned. Anyway, is there anything that we haven't talked about, or any subject that you would like to dive into a little bit deeper?
So you guys have my phone number, and then our website is just TwinStar, all one word, cu.com. And so right now you can go to the About tab on our internet, and you can click on careers. So we have some jobs listed there, and I just want to point out those are kind of critical jobs. They're kind of specialist jobs, a couple of them. And when I read them this morning, I'm like, wow, those are kind of some really intense jobs. But you can kind of see the different jobs that we have at the credit union. I mean, you kind of just think it's the branches, but there's the whole network that supports us, from IT to accounting to, all of those departments back there. So take a look at that. And, I encourage you to browse our website. You can see a lot what we have to offer on our website. And then in case any of our viewers don't know the difference between a bank and a credit union, I'll talk about that really quick. The biggest thing between a bank and a credit union is we are not for profit. So the people that own us are the people we serve. So if you're a member here, you are an owner, actually. So we exist for our members. The banks have stockholders, and that's what they exist for, making a profit for their stockholders. And our credit union is run by elected volunteers. Our board of directors is volunteered in all of our committees. So what we do is we put our earnings back into the credit union, helping our members. So we are member owned. So that is the biggest difference. Basically, we can provide all the same services that a bank can provide. We do mortgages, we have financial advisors, we can do everything here that you can find at a bank.
Yeah, and that's the big one, is nonprofit versus a bank for profit. And when you have organizations that are run by nonprofits, they have to have a board, and those board members are elected. And I don't know if you want to dive into it. I mean, we're coming down to the end here, but what the process looks like to get on a board of directors, because it's kind of standard, or it's a little bit different for each nonprofit.
Yeah. So our not-for-profit credit union, so we have committee members. We have several different committees that you can be on, and we actually have interns. So if there's a member out in the committee, and let's say they're an accountant, so maybe they want to be on our asset liability committee, they could come to me or to branch and say, hey, can you put me in touch with the person I'm interested in one of these committees? That's where I would probably start. And then board of directors, same thing. Our members actually elect our board of directors as well. So we have a highly skilled board of directors, obviously. They do a great job for us. But if you are a member of the community and it's something you're interested in, is being on one of on our board of the committees, just contact any of us at the credit union, and we can put you in touch with the person responsible for that. Definitely.
Awesome. And then going back to the very beginning, would you mind rattling off your phone number one more time?
Yeah. So it's Kris, and it's 360-486-3709. And I will answer my phone if I'm here, unless I'm with you guys or with a member. I answer all my calls. I return my calls. And I will tell you, I have a lot of people, repeat members, that I will give my direct line to. And instead of having to call Ohio or California or New York to get to talk to somebody, you can come in and just talk to us locally. So I think that's really, really important. The benefit of having a local credit union.
Absolutely. Well, Kris, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And yeah, again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Everybody have a good day.